All right. Good evening, everyone. So this is another class where we'll talk on Python, basically Python programming, not Python programming per se, basically Python scripting. So one thing we should note in this class is I'm not teaching you like the fundamentals of Python and all those stuff. So it is what I'm just going to teach you is how it can be, used in a scripted environment. So um yeah, so okay. Please, if you want to initiate any note taker app, yeah, okay, can go ahead. I just don't want it to distract the flow of the class. Anyways, so like I said, the most important section of this particular week is shell scripting, but I just want to chip in Python as an extra level of knowledge that you can use to just start a script. If you already have Python experience, it's great, but yeah. So basically what we'll do is we'll build a script that will like test, and just while we're building the script, I will explain the parts of the script that are related to scripting, not necessarily the syntax itself, but it will still be the syntax anyways. So yeah, let's dive in. So first things first, initiate your server or your environment that you want to run the scripts on. Mine is my Vagrant machine. And yeah, clean blank slate. So what I'll do is create a file. So my file will be Python 1. Let's see. Python 1. First things first, you have to check your Python version. So you do Python 3, then there's a version. Ensure that you have Python installed on your server. Ideally, if you're using a from 20 above, it should be good. Ubuntu 20 and above should be good. This Python 3 is compatible with, compatible with Ubuntu, but most people now end up having Python 2, which is like an older version of Python. So you have to ensure that it is Python 3 you're using. So yeah. So now that we're setting about that, clear the environment. So we create a script called python1.py. And now you can see that our own is unlike before when you do .sh, which is the command. Here we will do python.py. So py is the extension that tells the computer that this is a Python file. So now once you create it, you open your environment where you type, and then you start. So as usual for scripting, it's um a shebang. Shebang is usually the first script that first line of code that you write in a script. So you do hash exclamation user being env Python 3. This to tell you that you're using Python 3, that this script should be run using Python 3. It's ideal because there's Python 2 and Python 3 installed in most servers. And Python 2 is, is very, very outdated in terms of the amount of stuff it can run. So you have to ensure that it's Python 3 you're using. So now your access is off. This is your shebang. So the first script we will do is just a basic, very basic stuff. The very basic stuff. So we just, do the normal inputs and checking date and time, basically. So let's do. So now, if you want to echo a particular output to the computer, you use print. Unlike shell scripting that you use echo, this one you use print in Python. Then you do welcome to the daily utility scripts. This is it. That's what we are doing here. It's basically like what I told you people to do, but this is in Python, not in Shell. But anyways, I'm still that only very few people have submitted their tax. I don't want a situation where we're doing late submissions. If you have any issues, you can ask your peers to help you out so that you submit on time. Because one thing you need to realize that late submission reduces your mark. So the potential of you getting higher marks will be dropped if you submit late. That being said, um, welcome to the daily utility script. Now, this is a very, very simple Python script. We can remove it and then we'll do the chmod. This is also a very important thing to make it executable, like I explained in the last class. Python on the py. We check ls, we see it here. Python on the py, and then do the usual. So run the script, Python on the py. And you see, welcome to the daily utility scripts. So let's go back. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put an input. So if you put name equal to, unlike that other one, when you have the read, you set it to a read. This one you just do input. So the ideas are still there. The idea is still the same. It's just the syntax that will be different. You see, what is your name? What is your name? And then you see, nice. Now you see print. Once I do print, you see that I'll do like an F here. So this F basically is to tell Python that there's going to be a variable embedded there's going to be a variable embedded in this script. So if you don't do this F, if you don't do this F in front, if it sees a variable, it's going to treat it as just a normal string, basically. So you see, nice to meet you. Then you now declare variables using curly braces. Unlike in Shell that you use dollar signs to declare, you use curly braces to declare this one. And then you close this thing and close the brackets. Now, let's go back. And then run the script again. So what is your name? Let's say Peter. Nice to meet you, Peter. Now let us remove that F. We remove that F now. It's most likely not going to work. Also, like, and to see, nice to meet you. That's our name, because we're going to treat that variable as a string that's part of the string set rather than a variable. So yeah, we have to put the F. This F now tells the thing to output it as call out the variable that was declared, basically. So the next thing we're going to do is to show like a current date, on date and time, basically. So first thing first, one good thing about Python, unlike Shell, is that you don't need to build a lot of things from scratch. You don't need to build a lot of things from scratch. They are what they call modules, and packages that are already set for you that are, hosted on cloud environments around the world. So what you just need to do is call them into your script or into your code and then use them to, you know, work on your application. Unlike Shell that I don't know if Shell has probably introduced that method of, having modules and the rest, but I've not used it before. But for this one, there are modules that you can introduce. You just have to import them into your code and they will work. So this one, we're going to use what they call a datetime module. So you do import from datetime. import date time. So this is trying to tell you that from the module date time. So date time is the general module, basically. Date time is the general module. So it's trying to tell you that from that general module in date time is general library. From that date time now, there's a class inside that is called date time that will help you to write what you want to write, to import it. They're telling you from the module date time inside the Python library, import date time module. So the people that already stored the function inside the library created a stored the module inside the library, created a function called date time that you can call to do whatever tasks you feel like you want to do, basically. So you see import date time. Now, if you want to come back to your code, you can now you will now say now equal to date time dot now. So it's referencing the class inside the module date inside the class, a function inside the class rather. It's referencing a function inside the class that will help you to get the current time of your computer or at that particular point. Then once you have done that, you now do print current date. Let's see. So this particular is calling again. This is calling another setup inside this. This is calling another setup inside this class and inside this function. So it's like a function inside function. So this is like basically the simplest. So you have to know the function that you want to call when you're calling them. So yeah, that's just it. Then you close string format time. Yeah. So let's go back. So this particular function helps you to format this particular function helps you to format the time, the result of this call that you're calling here into some certain way, which is format it like this. So this is how the thing was set. Mm, 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 mm. So this is year, month, day, and this is our. I'm just using it for example, but it's not as if you may not most likely immediately use it. So don't think of it as, oh, this is something that you must put in your head or something. It's just for example. So now you can see this. Now you can see that the string that starts here didn't automatically move across to the end because this now is calling a particular function that's calling a particular function. So you don't necessarily need F here because this is like it's on its own. It's not as if it's declared somewhere else. You're calling it out fresh from this import here. But you have to break it. You have to break the curly braces here to be able to call this one out here. So now let's try this. So if you do did I forget something? Okay.
Comma
Yep.
before the now. The comma.
Yep. Yep. Thank you. Yep. Thank you. Ah, man. So yeah, let's see. Now you can see current date and time. equals 2025 6 7, and then look at the time. So this time now is formatted in UTC, which is the GMT time zone. So it's just to, where we are now, 1 hour. That's in Nigeria. So the next script we'll look at, so let's go back to the script. So this is just basically how a simple Python script works. You get, there's no need for overly complex class and, high-end programming stuff. This is just basically, simple stuff that we can do. You need to have a good level of Python experience or Python knowledge, but it's not overly high level that, oh, you must be one kind of senior software engineer to be able to write a script. No. You just need to know the basics that you can use to get from point A to point B, and you'll be good. So let us do another one. The next set of script that we'll run is you will ask a user for their birth year, and you ask a user for their birth year, for their age, and you calculate their birth year. So this is just like a very, 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 very simple mathematics using the same date time command. So yeah, let's do this. Now we'll declare a variable age. The age will have an input of an integer. Now the reason why we will do this, we want this input that it must be an integer. That's why we will declare int first before input. If you put just normal input before, it will read it as a string or any other, but you have to explicitly declare integer. So this int now means that it must be an integer number. Basically, it must be an integer number. So you now put an input, next thing, enter number. Now let's go to the concept of if-else statements, just like we explained in the last class. So we'll now do if number. Now, what does this command do? Print. I'll explain. Um, oh, I'm writing something now, Jesus. So we'll do age equal to this, then current year equals to date now. What's here? So you can see this is also calling another method inside this, inside this setup. That's here, calling another method. The same way you called this one for string formatting, this one is calling for the to set a year. Now the next one will be birth year for age. Now, what it's going to do is that from when you enter a number, it's going to pick the current year. So this current year now is going to pick the current year that which is 2025. And then your birth year will now minus current year minus age, which is 2025 minus your age. You get. Then it now prints Same thing formatted. You, you can see this. So now once we run, I want to comment all this. I want to comment this. Since I'm not using a code editor, a code editor, I can't comment all of them at once. So I have to do, going to make a mistake. I've commented the old code, is now remaining this new one. I was even checking. Oh,
Yeah.
see a bit of
Sorry, boss. What of the time? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I commented it out. I didn't look. Yep. So yeah. So let's see. Run this. You see, enter a number. If you enter a number 19, you see you were likely born in 2006. So that means it calculates, your age going backward from the current year. So yeah, that's another one. We'll just try out a large set of scripts so that you can get the idea basically, and you know where to apply whatever you pick out from this. Because Python, like I said, Python is not the main goal of this section, but just for extra knowledge. So the next one we're going to do is scripts. To check if a number. Now this one will explain the concept of if-else statements, basically. So you do, let me comment this. So you do made a mistake again. Cover here. Cover here. So you do if number. Now, this is what I was trying to explain.
Close it into brackets. So
Oh yeah, thank you. Upside date. Yep, thank you. So equals to 0. Now, oh, don't forget, this is the very, very crucial part that people lot of me. There's a colon here. You should know the difference between a semicolon and a colon. Colon is the one that has dot. A semicolon is the one that has a dot and a comma under. In shell scripting, it's semicolon. When you do dot, comma, and then you put then. So when you do if thing, then you do a semicolon, and then you now do then. You display. But this one is a colon. Take notes. It may confuse you at times, but you just have to, get used to it. Now, what this command tells you is that if the number that you are declaring, now this is a modulus, this is what they call a modulus operator. You get, this is what they call a modulus operator. Trying to tell you that if the number here is, when divided by 2, the remainder is 0, meaning that it's an even number. Let's do that script print. F equal to Can I say this is how you declare variables? Number is even. Then you do else. The else is you don't need to declare anything after the else. There's also the elif, but that one there's nothing to really declare inside here because we're talking of even an odd number. But elif is if there's another if statement. So if there if this one is this, output this. Else if this one is this, output this. So in Python it is called elif. But we're not going to use it because it's not needed. Just do else. You don't need to declare anything after else. So else is like anything that is not in if, anything that does not come under the if statement is automatically in the else statement. So any number that is not even automatically odd. So that's where the else will now fall inside. So you now see else print number, else print, supposed to put print, else print. So let's test this as well. Oh. So let me say anything. Oh, that's one thing with coding or scripting. Eyes have to be on guard. I put a normal bracket instead of a curly bracket. That's why. To be honest, here, one thing I don't like in this tech that I always say is debugging. Debugging is my worst nightmare. For the while I've been in this tech, debugging is my worst nightmare. Not much that I cannot avoid it, but I always try my best not to encounter a situation where I have to debug code. So they say enter a number. Now, enter a number. Let's say 31. 31 is odd because when you do 31 divided by 2, you get 17. I think 31 divided by 2 is 15 remainder 1, I think. Yeah, the math serves me right. So yeah. So that remainder now there's no 0. That's 1. That's why it's flagging it as odd. You do it again, 34. 34 is even. Because when it's divided by 0, when it's divided by 2, the remainder is not 0. Sorry, the remainder is 0, rather. So the remainder is not 0. So yeah, let's go back. Comment this out. So yeah, so far we have done 4 different scripts to show different points. And let's do something fancy now. All right, let's do something fancy. Let's create a simple to-do list. So, this is like a simulation of your tax, but this is in Python. So the one that I sent you to do, you have to figure that one out. But if you have the idea from here, you can easily pick it up. So now, all right, let's do this. First things first, let's create a tagline, print. You break this thing as new line, that's what it means. It's a new line. Let's create your tools that are sharp to currently use the idea. Now it creates an empty, sorry. So it creates an empty list. It creates an empty list for us to use because everything you are putting is in a list. Yeah, so they will create an empty list. So whatever you are putting is going to occupy or populate this list, basically. So there's list, there's tuples, but I don't really want to go into that. Can figure that one out. There's list and there's tuples. They all have their own the way they accept and process data, basically. Now here you create a for. Here you create a for loop. You now the way you create a for loop in Python, you do for I in range 3. That means you are looping through a particular activity 3 times. You get for I in range 3, you do tax equal to input. Now this is where you input. You see F and enter is and tax. Now let's not manually put it. Let us add it as part of the loop. So it will be I equal to I plus 1. This thing confuses me a lot. This inverted curly braces. But that being said, now what this part does is for I in range 3, which is I is going to loop from 0, 1, 2, 3. You get now enter tax I plus 1. That means it's going to count from 0 plus 1. So it's now be enter tax 1, 1 to enter tax 2, 2 enter tax 3, and then 3 enter tax 4, basically. So you now, so that means here you use this loop to create 4 tags.
It won't get to
Let's,
it won't get to tax 4. It won't get to 3. 0, 1, 2. That's where
let's
it
see.
stops.
Let's see. Mhm. Now you are creating like a new variable and you are appending what the output of this into this. So you see print new line. For now you see another tax, another for loop again. For I tags in enumerate. So this is another function that helps to list out tags, basically. Tags. Means F oh man. Why is this always happening? So yeah, so this is going to call out this tags here for I and tags in the enumerate tags to call this out. Sorry about the background noise. I don't know why these people are making noise in the background. So let's do that.
Boss, you didn't close this curly braces.
You say what?
You didn't close one curly braces there.
Uh,
I plus one, you didn't close it.
oh, thank you. Let's create a new tab, enter tab one. Okay. Okay. I know I made a mistake for us here. So this should be tax. So its tax should append tax. This append like to add into here. So that's what it is. That's the mistake I made. I ran this code earlier. I don't know. Anyways, let's see. First tax is to sweep. Next tax is to mop. Next tax is to sweep. So here is your to-do list. Okay, now it's 3. Okay, you're actually very correct. It's 3. So here is your to-do list, sweep, mop. So it's going to like go through that loop again and then output all the things that you have put you have set to it. Now we're going to write to a particular file. We're going to write to a particular file. So instead of it just save it and disappear, it's going to write a particular file. And for every time we create a task, it's going to append, it's going to add to that particular file. So let's do that. So this is it. Next thing is you see width. Unlike that other one where you do all the if statement and this one you do width. Now here you now do open. So it's going to create this thing called to-do.text. To-do.text. And then to write to it. So write. Just saving it as file. So we will now do next one. File.write. That means you're writing into that particular file to do release. Uh-oh. Yeah. Tax in tax. So for each tax, so it's going to come here and then for each of the tax outlined here in tax, yeah, then to now write file dot rent f. So this is like, it's like a format to put all the tags, like save them. The English I was talking about, just to save them in the particular to do the text, basically. The next one, we'll just print out an output. Text. Now, be very careful, like I mentioned in the last class. If you are using double braces here, when you are putting something, you have to use single. But this is not like a variable, so it's not really affect anything. But you have to ensure that you can still remove these single ones, but just to further emphasize the to-do.text, but ensure that it does not clash with the double ones that are outside. So yeah. So this particular file now, to open, what the script does is open the to-do.text and then write the next task inside the to-do.text. And then when it output, so you're essentially creating a script that you can write 3 different tags and to save to a file. So you just probably later in the day when you want to come and check the tags that are done, you can just open the file and to see the 3 tags outlined for you, basically. So let's see. So yeah, your to-do list has been saved to to-do.text. So if you cat, which is to view to-do.text, you can see it's giving you to-do list, drive, sleep, and more. So yeah, these are like very, very basic level, very basic level scripts that, to practice. Does anyone have like any question so far? Any observation or anything before we go? Because today, well, we're not looking at any slide, I'm not reading anything. It's just to practice scripting, Python scripting. Like I said before, it is not the main goal of the class. The main goal of the class is Bash. But this is like extra knowledge for situations where, oh, you want to write a Python script, which you can just reference. So yeah, because in your day-to-day, except in high-level tasks that you probably need Python, because basically everything you can do with Python script, you can do it with shell scripts. And shell scripts integrate very well with Linux environments. So yeah, because you work on Linux environment in your day-to-day every day, so just better you just use a shell script that is already embedded into the Linux environment. So yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Elijah.
Yeah, so please, I just want to add, all of these scripting, Python and Bash, can you really link it up to real life scenario, let's say day-to-day activity of a DevOps engineer?
Okay. For example, now imagine you're in a situation where you are you are trying to automate the onboarding of people inside the server. For example, your system, your company just got a new server, and they have like over 1,000 staff that they would want to have accounts on the server. Now, you as a system administrator, as the engineer in charge of that whole setup, you will not start creating username and passwords for these staff. It's not going to be possible. You get, that is where scripting comes in. You can write a script that will take, probably they have the list of your staff in an Excel sheet. You can take their names from that Excel sheet, automatically generate a password for them, and then once generate a password for them, it can output their names and the password to another CSV file, which you can also open on Excel. So once it runs this, once the script runs, you can upload the initial Excel file or CSV file basically to the server, and then it goes through that server, runs through the 1,000, and then outputs another CSV file with their names and usernames. So what they just do is that in 5 minutes, you can now send it back to them that, oh, so staff, Ngozi, this is her password, or this person, this is her password. But, that's the security flaw, because you don't want everybody to see each other's password. So you can basically like also automate it again, that each name, now the Excel sheet that they give you to also can also have an email. So you can also set it again, a Python, a bash script, that each name can be sent to the email that's attached to that name. So once it takes the name, generates a password to send a message to that particular email that is attached to the name, and it will run through that whole loop of 1,000 names in like 5 to 10 minutes, and everybody will get their password in their email. So that's like a real life scenario, basically. So like I said, this is like an introductory class where everybody's learning from scratch. You don't want me to now, I don't want to now start bringing scenario-based stuff here. I'm just like trying to introduce you like to the whole concept, basically, and how you can do basic stuff with it. But I'm just giving you like a real life scenario that you wanted. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. All right, I'm okay.
Do you have any question? You're sounding as if you don't understand the scenario I still gave. But you understand what I'm telling you. You understand what I just told you.
It's just that I had network glitches, so I did not join the class from very start.
Okay, you didn't join the class on Tuesday.
No, I did. I mean the one of today. So
Oh,
there are some this thing that you wrote, like the one of F. There's some commands you wrote like F, which at
F is
least
so if you want to append a variable in a print command. Don't worry, when you watch the video, when you watch the video, you understand where I explained it.
okay.
So let's see if does anybody have any other question? So is anybody having issues with their current tax? I'm not here to solve it, but I just want to ask if you have issues with the tax, if there's any challenge that you are probably facing that you've because I've only seen like 3 and before submission so far. Or people are still like going to go through it over the weekend. Okay, well, nobody's answering me.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I
Okay.
don't really have any issue with the tax, but I'm just still compiling it. Compiling the readme. Oh.
I can't hear you clearly.
Can you hear me?
I can
Hello,
hear
can you
you.
hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, so I said I have no issues, but I'm still kind of like working on the readme. So I should submit it today. Hopefully today
You're
or
working
early
on the
tomorrow.
README.
Yes, the readme, yes. The screenshot and the
Okay,
description of
okay,
document.
okay.
Yeah. So, and also, but we are not sending the SH stuff now. It's only the readme now. We are
You're
not
not
uploading
sending
the
what? I
SH.
can't hear you clearly.
The bash script, we are not sending it now. We are not uploading it on our GitHub.
No. You're not sending it. I just want to see,
Only the
please.
readme.
And okay. Only the README. It's only the README I need to see for now.
Okay.
But if you can,
Okay.
I will
Thank
also
you.
appreciate if you can also save the bash script in a file and upload. But what I need, now probably from when we start doing like, from containerization, containerization and stuff, Docker and the rest, and we'll start submitting like the files itself. So I want to see it. I want to use also submit screenshot because all the tasks we'll do will submit screenshot. I don't want anybody to go and copy anybody's code. Even if now people are still doing it, copying each other's code, but we submit screenshots and the evidence of the what you actually wrote, and it must tally. Not the one that there is az.py in screenshot and there is azchi.py on the GitHub. It must tally. So yeah, both this one and screenshot. Screenshot to prove that it works. So yeah. So let's see if we can take one more script before we call it a day and end this whole session, because this class is not meant to be a long one. The class is just meant to talk about Python, and yeah, trying to think of something. Okay, so now let us build something just basic as usual. So let's do like a simple stuff. So as usual, build this shebang. Me, I don't use Python every part. I can't remember the last time I used Python. I only bring it out when it's very necessary, because even in my day-to-day, it's mostly just scripts and bash. And I don't even do bash often because I do a lot of cloud work. So yeah, pardon me if there are a lot of typos in what I'm writing.
Okay, so I have another question.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we talk of automation like you are doing now here, is it only on this maybe Bash or Python that automation is being done? Is there no other platform like other, let's say another way of doing automation that is
There are other ways. This is like the simplest. Can you hear me?
yes.
This is like the simplest. Bash is like the bare minimum, the barest of minimum. We'll learn about Ansible, that one when you do server to server automation. We'll learn about Terraform when you do cloud automation. You get Bash is like the basic of basics. You get, it's like grassroots level automation. That's why we're introducing it at this stage. When we get to Ansible, you understand how you can use your computer to automate configurations across multiple computers. That's also automation. You get configuration management, also automation. The whole concept of automation is, people think that a lot of people mistake automation as something that it's like a tool. No, it's not a tool. It's basically a concept. You get, like the name implies, automation helps you to automate manual tasks. You get. So I've taught you the Linux. We have taught you the Linux commands in the last few weeks. Taught you Linux command. What Bash now does is helping you automate all the redundant commands that you will probably write in your day-to-day environment. So for a situation where you have to write sudo apt update and sudo apt install XYZ multiple times in your code or in your, your server operations, you can just put it in a script and run the script at once, or do a cron job, like I explained the last time, and at a particular time, that script will run continually. That is automation. Now, when we learn Ansible, Ansible is for configuration management. Now, in an ideal setup, you'll be working with multiple servers, and you will not want a situation where they'll ask you to configure a particular setup, like let's say to install Apache. You have access to 10 servers. Now, you don't want a setup where they will tell you configure Apache to 10 servers. Configure Apache to 10 servers, and you want to now start logging into each of the 10 servers one by one. Nobody will answer you. You are just practically wasting time, energy, and money, basically. So that's also another concept of automation, which is configuration management. It helps you to automate the deployment or configuration of settings in multiple servers. That is also automation. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand, Elijah?
Yes, sir, I understand.
So that is the whole concept. That's the whole concept around automation. Bash is the basic of basics. It's really just the basic. Once you go, now you will get to the cloud, you get to the cloud. When you start operating cloud environments like AWS, Azure, GCP, all of them, you will be in a situation where, I need to configure, let's say, a load balancer across multiple systems. You get. You won't want to start configuring load balancers one by one, one by one, one by one. That's where you have tools like infrastructure as code. And you just write the code and it will deploy it on all the systems at the same time. That is automation. You understand?
Yes, yes.
Good. Does anyone have any other question?
I have a question.
I want to take questions. Okay.
Yeah, I think you can hear me very well.
I can hear you.
Yeah, so my question is, so you said in terms of script writing, so what if someone is very good in Python? Do they really care about writing back or something like that?
No, if you're good in Python, go ahead, though. If you're good in Python, you go ahead and if you're good in Python, you go ahead and write your scripts in Python. To be honest, I wish I can. I am
Okay.
more familiar with the bash scripts, so I did not really take my time to learn Python because I could do whatever I needed to do in bash. But if you're good in Python, it's an addition for you, man. To be honest,
Uh,
you can
okay.
actually create anything.
Okay.
Yeah, and the good thing with Python is that you can work in non-line. See, the thing is, okay, now in DevOps, basically, you will most likely be working with Linux servers. You get. But there are some special situations where you have to work with Windows, Windows servers, which is very rare, but it's likely. So you can also use Python too in such environments if you don't know PowerShell, which is Windows native what they call it, Linux scripting environment. You get, so it's like, we like to say that Python is like multi-dimensional, exactly. But like I said, this is where Pareto principle comes in. We work in about 90% of the environment, you work in the Linux. So okay, let's try something unique. So like I always used to tell you, this class is meant for the absolute beginner, the absolute of absolute beginners. So you are here to understand the concepts. I won't start to introduce real world scenarios for you when you don't understand what you're using, what you're using it for, basically. So you're here to understand the underlying concept, then apply it in real world scenarios. For those people that will move to the project phase, you will see real world scenarios now. Is it real world scenario you're looking for? You will see it, but in the project phase. That one, I'll just sit back and watch you, because you'll be giving something to you. Everybody, for all the tracks, people will be assigned to a team, one DevOps, one front end, one back end, like that, like that, like that. And you'll be given a project. Everybody should build it from scratch. So in that bash scripting, you will learn how to use the bash scripting to deploy and monitor. So yeah, basically. So for the time, let's do this. So you do print. Please confirm you can still see my screen.
Yes,
think
sir. We
that's
can
what.
still see your
Hello?
screen, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
no
sir.
problem. It went off briefly. So yeah, let's go. Welcome to. Mm, So so now in this particular script, we will have a log file. This log file now, for every time we run the script, it should append this entry to the log file with a timestamp. So this particular approach is also good for scenarios where you need to document. For example, now you're working on a system and the system probably goes down. You want to put a setup in place that will probably be taking logs at a particular time. So this is actually another, the same way we explained using the double arrow in the other one. That was like the simplest concept you can do, but this is like a more refined concept that you can apply. So you do a log file, which will accept the input. Then you do calc history.txt. So this is the log file. But here you have to like define it. You have to write a function that will do that whole append operations for you, because you will not write it from scratch on like bash. So now to write a function, you use what they call def. So def is like define, basically to define a function. You now see log. Come on. Let me go. Let me check something. Okay, yeah, I can look up py. I don't know why something deep down was telling me I stored that stuff in sh. That's why that's why I wanted to check it, see if I let my interest in the inner thoughts not win. So yeah. Now define log is now such the way you did the other one. You put a colon here, and then when you put the colon, it will create this indentation. Now, if you notice in some both in Bash and in Python, indentations are also key to a good syntax. So also ensure that you have the right indentation. I think after if there's an indentation, after elif and all those ones, there are indentations. After functions as well, there are indentations. So take note. When you want to study, you have to take note of these little things. Now you see with, then open log file. Who is raising his hand, please? Jose Maria,
Please,
good evening.
good evening. Please, I want to ask. You said from date time, import date time, but here you just import. Is there a reason?
So that one we're importing just the datetime class inside datetime. So, but this one, when you do import datetime, you're importing the entire library into your lab. So you can now use multiple setups inside the library, but it's the same thing though. It's almost like that one, you're just importing the datetime class inside the datetime module, basically. So we're saying from datetime, import datetime. So instead of going to fetch, just like for example, now you have a bag of water, bag of pure water. Instead of you to carry the entire bag, you tear the water and take one out of it and leave the rest inside. That's how it works basically. But it's still, you can still use any approach basically. But this is like a safer one when you don't want to now start importing like different modules, different classes one by one. Do you understand?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So hmm, oh, let me write this. Go back and look. So you have with open. No, okay, so hold on a bit. All right, so yeah, do it A. Lord. Now the reason why we put this A here is append mode. So the last time we did W, which is write mode. So that means you are writing everything. So for every time you call the script to write, it will write to the script again. But A is append, so it's like if the first operation was 2 plus 2, and it saves 2 plus 2, and you do another operation 4 plus 2, it will go to the next line and then put 4 plus 2, like that. That's append mode. That's A append mode. So if you're, for example, now your manager may ask you, give me a list of logs to output a particular file. I need it by dawn. You can write the script to call out the logs, and then you can now write a file and then with open log file and then append. So as the logs are being called out, it's appending one by one to each line until the whole setup is complete. Then you submit it to your manager, basically. Now here you want to call it date time. Now you see the difference of how I called this one. Unlike before when we did from date time import date time. So we're only calling the date time method, inside that module, entire date time module. But this one, since so we didn't need to define this first one here. We only defined this second one, datetime dot now. But since we're importing the entire bag, we will define the bag first, which is the module, then the class inside the module, and then this particular function. Basically, you get. So that's the, I think Jose Maria, if you understand, that's how it's defined, basically. So yeah, see me, I'm not even explaining what I'm doing. So um so there, I already defined log here as this as log. So when you say log.write, it's writing the timestamp, which is this timestamp that we have created here, and then the entry. So is it the entry now that when you define this function, the whatever entry is going to put it inside here with the timestamp. So yeah, you see it when we are done. This is the main meat of the operation. Now we have created a new function to calculate. Now there are three variables, there are three values inside A, B, and operator. A is the first number, B is second number, operator is the third one. Now let's do a bunch of ifs. So if OP equal to. Now also know that equal to is what you use for equality in Python. You get, so unlike normal arithmetic equal to is an assignment operator. So you're assigning this to a particular variable. That's an assignment operator. If you want to do equality, basically you use equal to, which is two equal to signs. Yeah. So if OP equal to this, then you put a colon, do return A plus B. So this return now will tell you what should come after the operation has been met. Then there's elif. So now we're using elif. So it is equal to minus. in elif again. Another elif again. Ah, I'm making a mistake. You're watching me make a mistake. Now look at this one now. Elif.
The
Now
last
if you
elif, the last elif is wrong. The second one, you two slash and you're doing times.
thank you. This is times. What should be times? Thank you. Thank you. Now, if you see the last one, you see Elif. Now, if it's division, if it's divided after the division, you can create an if statement inside an Elif. So now, when you have this slash, now you now do another if, which is if b, which is the second number, is equal to 0. You now raise an exception. So this raising an exception is raising an error. This is default in Python. Raising an error, which is cannot divide by 0. So yeah, because 4 divided by 0 is usually not a number, basically. So after this has been met, you now return a b. Then else, anything that is not part of this whole setup, you raise an error again. Valid error. So these errors now, if you would computer to properly log these as errors. I think we do something like this, similar to this in shell to log errors. Yeah. Unsupported operation. So the next step we're going to do is a while loop. Let me see. All right. So here you write the while loop. So you say while true, while true. Oh. So this while true means that, oh, why am I putting capital letter here? While true. So this while true means that this script should keep running as far as the operations are, are still valid, basically. It should just keep running until it breaks. That's while true. Then first, so that's the first number imputes enter the first number. If first or lower. This first or lower meaning that if you type exit at any of these points, it should break. So it's going to break. So that's here you now put a break. So this break now is telling you that, oh, if you don't want to put a number now, you put exit. The whole loop should automatically break. Then you put operator will be input, same thing. Same thing here. Break. The second number will be inputs on the second. Second of law. Break. So now, this is the point where you validate. All still under while true. We take notes. You have a try. So this try now, it's now go through a try. Okay, try is supposed to be this. Now be a int. So let's make it we can make it a float because it must not necessarily be integers. Integers are those numbers that are whole, which is 12, 13, 14, 17. Then float is all those ones that have decimal points. 15.5, 15.7, 20.2. Let's not just leave it as integer because you may want to count numbers that have decimal points as well. So try A will be equals to A will be equals to assign B to load second. Good. Now results. Result will be calculate, which is this operation right here. This function right here, we're going to call this function with these three variables, which is calculate A, comma B, A, B, and then OP. Then print results. F results. So yeah, back to sorry about this. So yeah, this is going to print a string with the result, and then log the history, which is F will log it for you as the entry. Log it for you as the entry. So yep, it should work. And there's except. So if there's an exception where you probably have a value error, so So if there's any error, if there's any error that may have occurred, you should print the error. For you, that's how you print it. VE. So it's printing now, it's going to print out the error. So it's going to pass in this value error as VE and then print it out for you. Same here. Exception errors as well. So what I want to go and do this weekend is read different kinds of errors. But this is more for programming people. You can read it for knowledge though. So this should work. So let's chmod this. And then 2 plus 3, 5. Now to ask you for the number again. Just exit. Once you exit, the code will exit by itself. So yeah, that's probably the last script out. I can share the script on the Discord channel for everybody to go through. So yeah, is there any question? Does anyone have any question?
No,
If
sir.
anyone is talking, I can't hear.
Question.
Okay.
No question for
Okay.
But don't
Some of their
forget to
voice is so
send.
dull.
I'm tired. That's why. Don't forget to send the script though. Maybe after that, when we go through it, we might have questions in the next class.
All right, that's valid. That's
Okay.
very valid. Most people are off.
We are
Anyway,
here, sir.
so
Thank you so much for the class, sir.
yeah, no problem. It's just like I said, it's just for knowledge sake. Practically everything that you can do with Python, you can do with some most scripts command except for complex scenarios. So just what I normally do if I want to practice is I go on all these LLMs and then just ask them, oh, give me a script that give me a scenario where I can use bash scripts to solve, and they'll generate it for you. And then you can now apply what you learned here to those scenarios. And yeah, you're good to go basically. Like I said, this is an introductory class, so you don't really, we're not really going into the deep waters as much. Just to introduce you to or every concept we're treating in this class is an introductory level. So yeah, that being said.
So, sir, where did you say you normally ask the questions, sir?
LLMs, which is ChatGPT and the rest.
Oh, all right. Thank you, sir.
All right. So in the absence of any other question, I think Jose Maria. Jose Maria, please. I think when I left, he made you the host. So please, can you stop recording from your end? I was trying to stop the recording. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I'm looking for where to stop the record.
Or you can just share the host this thing with me, so I'll just end the recording.
Sorry, I'm trying to look
Have
for
you done
how
that?
to. I'm trying to look for how
Go to
to
more.
share the.
Go, just stop the recording
Okay,
first. Go to more. You stop recording.
okay.
Stop recording and then click yes. Click yes. It gives you a prompt. Click yes.